All right. Well, thank you all for coming to the our coaches meeting clinic for the boys Northern Twin Cities Basketball League. We want to have this meeting first off being the first year that MYS has partnered with associations here in the North Metro to help run their league. And so I just wanted to introduce ourselves and then just talk about how the league's going to run as we move forward. So my name is Ashley Ansel. You've all probably received emails from me over the past few weeks. I will be your main point of contact here at the MYS as far as score reporting and issues. And then you'll be, if there's any schedule changes, you'll be getting that from me. You've heard Rich talking a little bit ago. He's also on the call. Rich is our associate director and director of basketball. Rich does a lot of our scheduling work. So me and him work together to get the schedules out. And he's like a puzzle. He figures all that out. So we also have Clarence Fields on the call. He's our Rising Stars director of coaching and player development. He is going to be doing some stuff with the clinic at the end. He runs our Rising Stars program here. We have camps and clinics and on school days. We also have spring, fall, winter high school league. So he's doing a lot of different things over at that league. So he'll tell you a little bit more about what he does in the Rising Stars program here at the end. We have Matt on the call. He's our partner and business development manager. Matt is on the call today, especially because he's been helping a ton with the sports engine, transitioning all that over so that everything can link to your guys' association sites as well as so we can get score reporting and standings on our end. So if we have questions about that, he's available here to help out with that and answer those questions. And then Dawson Blank is not on the call right now, but he is our executive director here at MYAS. And he was a big part of the reason why this partnership came together. So all of our emails are linked on there. So when I email us out, if you need to get a hold of any of us, they are on there. And we have our directors of all of our associations listed here. These are going to be kind of your main points of contacts, whether it be for something about practice or uniforms. Any of that stuff will go directly to your association. Trevor Rasmussen, who I believe I saw on the call, he is the Northern Twin Cities Basketball League president. And then I listed all the rest there. I don't know if anybody listed there wants to introduce themselves. Are we good to go? All right. So those are all linked as well. So if you guys need to go find your contact for your association, feel free to jump into the presentation and you can get their contact information from here. So just quickly before we get into things, just to kind of talk about the mission of the Northern Twin Cities Basketball League. Obviously a multi-community recreational league, having multiple associations and some park and rec programs all mixed together to give the kids a different, playing different kids and different teams and to kind of enhance that in-house experience. Obviously a fun environment is number one. Make sure the kids are having fun, coming back every single year. Positive, safe, and definitely skill development is what we want to make sure that we're putting, first and most important. And on the other end, making sure that our families are fostering a positive and showing good sportsmanship throughout the games, as well as our coaches, refs, and players. So as I mentioned, MYS is serving as the administrative service agent of this league. So we're doing the schedules, working with the reschedule, working close with Chris Hopp at Blaine with his facilities and with Trevor. So the MYS has been around for 30 years doing running leagues, running tournaments. Like we said, we now have the Rising Stars Sports Academy where we're offering more camps and clinics. So overall, just our mission is just to improve the delivery of youth sports. That's what we're here for. We want to help, we want to assist. And so we'll work closely with those association directors and make sure that we're providing the best product that we can for all the youth in your communities. Just real quickly, since this is something new, just kind of to go over our roles here. So as I said, MYS is the administrative service agent with the scheduling of leagues and games, and then working collaboratively with the board and in-house directors. And kind of the benefits of why we wanted to get involved and help out and join this partnership was obviously we have a dedicated full-time staff here at MYS. So it's our mission to help that deliver youth sports, and it's a lot easier when we're here all day working in this world. But we have a lot of parent volunteers in our association. So kind of take that burden off of our parent volunteer board members is what we're here to help with in any way that we can to make this a successful league. And then, like you said, the board members in the Northern Twin Cities Basketball League, they handle all team registrations, organization of the league, and they provide us with all the facilities and gym spaces, and then we go ahead and we create the schedule. So they also handle any communication with coaches and parents. which leads into our communication policy. So if you have any issues with score reporting, go ahead and email me. It's just ashley@mys.org or just basketball@mys.org. That's easier to remember. So if we have any issues with that, you need a score changed or you can't figure out something with the scoring, go ahead and send us an email. And then any other scheduling concerns or anything like that, if you just go to your respective in-house directors, because sometimes they'll be able to tell you if we can make that change right away before having to come directly to us. And things like practice and that stuff will all run through your community board. So hopefully you all received the email with the website. I'm going to go ahead and just pull that up here. All right. So if you did not receive this, it's obviously linked in this presentation, or else you can send me an email too, and I can get that over to you. So this is going to be our home website that we're going to be using for information. We have the coaches meeting here in the middle. So if there's anything we want to announce, we'll go ahead and throw it in there. We'll also send out an email and make sure you all are on the same page. But the main page here is going to show our standings, our rules, important dates. All of our facilities and locations that we're using are over here on the right side of the screen. You can click on those. It'll open up a Google map and also include the address. So hopefully that's helpful to figure out where you're going to. Let's see here. So league rules, we'll start with that. So like we said, league rules are on the website right here on the front page. So league rules are going to be separated by grade, starting with second grade. And then after second grade, every new grade starts on a new page. So third grade rules. So they're all separated out. So our big thing with the league rules is to make sure that coaches are aware of their own grades rules. So a lot of the refs that you're going to get, they're jumping from one league to another, different grade levels. Sometimes they're going fourth grade to sixth grade, back to fourth grade. So just, making sure that coaches know, as well as before the game, having that opportunity to make sure that the refs are on the same page for any rules that, maybe a little bit different. And then a big thing that we ask, especially here at MYS, that we're really big on is the sportsmanship piece. So on page 3 to 4 in that rules, you will see that they talk about that unsportsmanlike conduct not being tolerated, and kind of the expectations that we have of our parents and all of our spectators. Here, it looks like Jeff has a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I have practice at 8, so I wanted to make sure I got my question in. Or sorry, yeah. 8:30. Can you go to the league rules quick to 6th grade?
For sure. Let's see here.
I know I'm getting pretty specific here, but I just wanted to be clear.
That's okay. That's better now.
For the defense, this is my first time in 6, so I'm trying to make sure I have the right rules. It says on defense, trapping and double teaming will be allowed if you're within 10 points, but then it says stealing is only allowed in the front court. And if we're allowed to press and trap full court, I'm assuming we can steal in the back court as long as we're within 10 points. So I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting the rules correctly.
Yes, and that's how I'd interpret. Trevor, are you able to jump in and talk on that? All right.
That's okay.
I will clarify that, but yes, that is how I would that's how I would read that, is that if you're within that 10 points, then go ahead with that. Obviously if you're double trapping, you're looking to get a steal. So
Great.
I will clarify that, and if not, I'll follow up with you on that.
That's fine. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, perfect. No problem. All right. Before we move on, is there any other questions anybody want to ask right now over everything that we've talked about?
Yeah. Can you let some people in, because 2 of my coworkers, they're still stuck in the waiting room?
Let me see.
I'm in now. We're good.
Okay, good.
I don't know if Heaven is in, but I thank you for, I'm in. This is Katie.
Oh, perfect. Sorry about that. Yes, I looked up and I saw we had a few in there, but it looks like it's cleared now, so we should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we will move on to league schedules and locations. Again, right here from the homepage, we can access all of our schedules. You can go about it a few different ways. Up here at the top, you can either click on the grades that your team is playing in. And if we want to go 5th grade, and then game schedule. You can see the entire 5th grade schedule here. And you can click on your own team just to pull up your own team schedule. And then again, you always got to click this game schedule to actually get it to populate. Or if you want to, a little bit easier, probably just from this home page, is just go down the standings and find your team. So just click here and then it'll bring you directly just to your team's page. So if you're just looking for your team schedule, that's probably the easiest way to go about it. Locations are listed here, so you know where you're playing at, and then on that home page is where you can click on them to get those Google Maps. So court numbers are here. Does anybody have any questions on schedules, locations?
Can I make, Ashley, this is Chris.
Yeah.
Can I make a quick comment on one of the facilities for sure?
Go right ahead.
So innovations, technology, that facility, we'd like everybody to pull around to the back of the building and use the rear entrance. That's where the gym location is. So if you park up front and you try and go in the front door, it's going to be locked. So please drive around the back of the building, and then you'll find plenty of parking, and that's where the gym location is.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, can you all hear me now? This is Trevor.
Oh, yep.
All right. Sorry about that. I was having some issues. I'm driving back from a basketball practice.
No problem.
So to clarify on the 6th grade rule, yes, that would be correct. That was probably just an error in copying over rules from one grade to another, then changing them. So yes, you can steal if you can do a full court press. That would be an accurate assessment.
Awesome. Thanks, Trevor.
Yep.
All right. So moving on, so Sports Engine user accounts. So I think last Thursday, those emails should have went out for everyone to be invited to join the MY or the Northern Twin Cities Basketball League Sports Engine. So by doing that, you've linked yourself to our account. So that's where we're going to want to do all of our score reporting. Is going to be on that Northern Twin Cities site. I know I had got some emails today from coaches saying they couldn't see that on their Sports Engine team tab. Matt did finish rostering all those before the meeting started. So everyone should now be able to see that Northern Twin Cities Basketball League. And I believe it'll say your team's name. And that's the one that you're going to want to use to report scores. If you're with Blaine or Spring Lake Park, you're also going to see your association one. And that's the one parents are going to see. But when you report scores on the Northern Twin Cities League, it's going to automatically link and update that association site for your parents. So just as the main thing is make sure that's where you're reporting your scores at. If you did not receive that invitation or you're having any issues with it, I know I've gotten a few, just go ahead and again, send me an email at ashley@mys.org and we will look into it and figure out and get it resent out to you. So score reporting. So we would like scores to be reported within 24 hours. That way we just make sure that we aren't trying to track down scores from weeks before and trying to find our, our scores. And we want to make sure that our standings are ready so that right when playoffs end, we can just go ahead and drop teams into the spots they belong in. The one thing is going to be for that last day to play, which is February 26th for our 3rd through 8th graders. We're going to want those scores in by 8 p.m. that night, just so that we can start working on those playoff schedules right away and hopefully get those out to your families as soon as possible. We usually like to say both coaches go in and report scores. Sometimes it's easier to winning coaches, just make sure you're going and doing it. But always making sure that you're both checking to make sure that those scores are in there and they're accurate. I will email out instructions this week about the mobile app and how to report scores. Oh, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Mara?
We have a game scheduled for the 26th for 3rd grade, but that's the weekend our tournament is.
So because of gym space, we're gonna have to push that back a little bit. So we're kind of working on figuring that out.
Okay, I was confused by that.
Yeah. So we actually just changed that important dates document to reflect that the tournament will probably push back just a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll get those dates out to you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so to report scores, we're just gonna go back to the main site, and this is gonna be on the desktop version. Like I said, we'll send you an email with more detailed instructions for the mobile app, but it's pretty simple. So let's go find your team, go to your game schedule, and then just find the game that you want to report scores for. You're going to want to click on the status over here. So click on the time. and that's going to pull up your game information. So in order to report scores, you need to make sure that you're in edit mode. So over, I'm not sure if yours is all on the left, sometimes it's on the top right, but you should have a little button you can click into edit mode, and then just go down and click on quick score. And then you're just going to put in your score and change your game status to final. Save that, and then your score will save and it'll update on both league sites, and you'll be good to go with that. Does anybody have questions on score reporting? All right, we'll get that out here with the recording as well, so you have those instructions too. So kind of the question we just discussed was that season timeline. So that is accessible through the website.
One more thing, the edit, it's not a default. You have to click that to on. It's not always on?
I believe you have to click it on.
Okay.
Matt, do you know for sure?
Yes, you will have to click it on the left-hand side once you're signed in to be able to edit and update the scores. In the mobile app, it's pretty much the same process. And you know what I always tell our coaches in our league, I run the Rosemount Youth Football League. What I always tell the coaches in our league is just make sure you update the score before you leave the court or the field. It literally takes like 10 seconds to do it once you pull it up in the mobile app. So if you have cellular access and you download the Sports Engine app on your phone, you're talking 10, maybe 15 seconds to update the score. So just try to do it before you leave, and then you never have to worry about it again.
All right, thank you, Matt. Okay, so the important dates document, we do have that linked here on the page. So that just discusses, so January 8th, league play begins. And then the big one people want to know about is that February 22nd, when those postseason schedules are going to be posted. So we will actually try to get those out as soon as possible, just so that you can see, at least the teams won't be in here, but you can see where the seeds are going to go. So you'll be able to tell kind of by the standings on the website about where your team is going to play. And then we will, release those dates for those postseason tournaments. We did have third grade initially playing the weekend right before this, or a couple days before this. But with gym space, that was going to be a little bit tricky. So we're still kind of working out how we're going to get that one in, but that's just a single elimination tournament at the third grade level. And then the 4th through 8th grade, we have the 2-game guarantee tournaments. All right, Trevor, do you want to kind of go over these slides that you added?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Just give me 1 second here.
Perfect. Oh, it looks like I have one question. Matt, do you have a question?
Nope.
Nope, I don't think so. You can go ahead.
All right. So just a couple notes that I had for everybody, just as we're getting ready to start the season. So we wanted to suggest everyone print out a copy of the rules, at least just for your grade, and have them in your coaching bag when you come. I think it's helpful just, especially if the coaches are doing their first game at your grade level for the day, just make sure they know some of the nuances of your league, make sure the rules are available to them. So if there's a discussion that comes up around what the rule is, they have something they can go back to and refer. Just the refs are, these are refs that coach in different leagues across the cities. They're coaching different grades all the time. Sometimes they're doing travel, sometimes they're doing rec. So they don't, they're not paid, or they're paid by the league, but they're not like employed by the league. So they don't necessarily know exactly all the nuances of each of your grades and everything. So just be patient with them and, point out what the rule book says and give them a chance to correct it when it makes sense. And ultimately they're going to be the final authority on reading what the rule says and establishing what that means in the game. So you just have to accept that, their voice is the final voice. So those are kind of the deals there. So be patient. Remember that you're responsible for your kids and your parents and their behavior towards the referees. So keep them under control. I know sometimes it gets frustrating, but try to have civil conversations with the refs and just make sure that, we're trying to keep things on good graces. The kids and the parents will follow your lead. So if you're a coach that starts screaming at the refs, the kids are going to do it, parents are going to do it, and it's going to end ugly all the time. So just try to keep that in mind. Regarding like just aggressive behavior on the court too, we don't have a lot of it, but it does happen from time to time. But if that happens in a game, the refs are going to be the on-site police of what happens with that in terms of the player or the coach or the parent that's being unruly. They have the ability to kick that person out or call the game off if it's something really bad. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but if stuff like that happens, we need you to report that back into the league so that we have a group that'll meet and discuss if there needs to be any anything that happens as a result of the actions that happen. So we hope that doesn't ever happen, but it does get the boys are competitive, so they sometimes get a little bit aggressive, and we just want to avoid hitting and punching and excessive swearing and things like that. So I think that's about it on that slide. If you want to switch over to the next one.
Aaron, do you have a question?
Oh.
Yeah, in a previous time that I've coached, one thing that really frustrated me is if we notice one of our players starting to have a behavior issue or a conduct issue, would we be allowed to put a substitute in so we can talk to that player and get them straightened out and hopefully prevent a really bad situation from happening? I know with the rules, it's tricky.
Yeah, I would say if you can get the game, pause for a minute and just make sure that the other coach knows what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think, I'm hoping that there'd be leniency towards that. I think, obviously the concern is always if it's, if all of a sudden a superstar comes in off the bench in his place or something like that. So
right.
I
Just
think
making sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Exactly. Yeah. So, obviously just keep that stuff in mind if you want to do it. I mean, by the book, you're not supposed to be able to make swaps, but I think, if you see a situation where a kid that has a temper and he's about to lose it, I think, going over to the coach and just mentioning something to him and then making sure they're on board with it, I think I'm a coach. I'd be okay with it. I'd rather have that than have some kid lose it and, go shove a kid to the ground or something.
Yeah, thanks. I needed to hear that, and I'm glad everybody could hear it at the same time.
All right. Can you go to the next slide? Or maybe it is. There we go. All right. So facilities, this is just more for information. So, we have a number of facilities. Our goal is to try to keep the games as centralized as possible. We have teams coming from Columbia Heights. We have teams coming from Ramsey and St. Francis and all over the place. So we try to keep the games kind of more centralized. I know, some of the programs still have to drive a little bit, but the goal was just try to minimize the amount of driving that we can do. The sites, some of them are going to be just for the younger grades. Some of them are going to be for the older grades based on if they have adjustable hoops and stuff like that. So you'll most likely only see a couple of these sites, but this is just a list of all the different sites that'll be hosting games throughout the regular season at least, unless we have to add some, for cancellations and things like that. So that's about it on this slide.
Hey, Trevor.
Yep.
This is Chris here. Can we add about in the hallway conduct? Hopefully we can get our coaches and or parents to help out with no bouncing of the basketballs in the hallway, nothing against the walls, and try and keep that good reputation with the facilities so we can keep using those facilities and respecting their rules out in the hallway while we're waiting to get on to the main court to play.
Yeah, that's a great thing to point out. I would say try to not have your teams there, too much more than like 15 minutes before the game too. It just adds a lot of extra congestion and people and distractions. And also keep, before your game starts, keep your kids off the court that's actually the game's being played on. We've had issues in the past with with, kids kind of like sitting on the baselines and stuff like that, and they kind of get in the way and they can be distracting at times. So just try to keep your team out of the way until it's your time to be on the court, and just respect the other teams that are in there playing. All right, so then the final couple here. So inclement weather, obviously we're in that season now where that's probably gonna come up at least once during the season here. We will find out from the districts, and I don't know if Chris, if you have more information on exactly how this flow will happen or who they're gonna reach out to for cancellations.
Yeah, so we'll actually have probably, depending on facility, Spring Lake Park would be one communication we would hear from. Anoka Hennepin District would be another communication we'd hear from. And then the private facilities that we also are using, that would be another communication. So so with that, we'll make sure we stay on top of it, and everybody's notified as soon as we're notified. If there is a change where we can't use the facility due to whatever reason, staffing because of the weather or what have you.
Excellent. Yeah, so then we'll do our best to reschedule the games. When we get to the very end of the season, if we have something happen in that week right before the tournament or something, those games are just going to be a loss. If there's postponed, if there's a team with a COVID issue, or if the sites are called off for some reason, if that last weekend of February, we're just those games are just not going to be able to happen because the tournament's going to happen and we can't push that back. But we'll do our best to try to get everyone their 12 games. I know there's going to be, kind of moving on to the next one a little bit, there's going to be some COVID cancellations happening throughout the season, just given the sheer volume of cases that are out there. So, if that happens, we'll work with Ashley and the team to get those rescheduled when we can, but that'll also, that's going to push extra games on weekends and things like that. So we'll do our best to give, as much time as we can for those to happen, so that, we're not going to throw a game on you 3 days later, but we'll do our best to kind of spread those out as we can, and not try to inconvenience the families too much. You'll notice with the schedule that we work really hard to have all the games be within, they have like at most 1 game break in between games, so that the rec program isn't taking up the whole weekend of families. But with COVID and things like that, there's going to be extra games that are moved around where that'll happen sometimes, and we'll do our best to make it as convenient as possible, but hopefully everyone can be flexible there. As far as like a official COVID policy, we're kind of relying on teams to follow the policies of their current programs, to make sure that they're not, doing anything to kind of spread between teams or anything like that. We haven't had any issues with that throughout the girls program of, COVID happening and knocking out multiple teams from weekend games and stuff like that. So we've been very fortunate with that so far, and I feel like we can continue to have that happen as long as teams are, making sure that they're following the policies, that they're being smart about keeping anyone, who's tested positive out, and just following the policies of the different programs, because those are stemming from, the districts that spend a lot of time deciding what these policies should be. And so we're relying on them to kind of guide those. So any cancellations that happen, I believe what Ashley said was, report those into your program director. The program director will take care of coordinating that with Ashley and myself and Chris. And we'll get those games. We'll make sure everyone's notified that you're playing against if there's a cancellation, and get those games moved as quickly as possible. Any questions on those two things? All right. So finally, go ahead.
Masking, are there differences in the different gym? You may have already talked about this, but I wasn't here in the beginning, but for ours, our kids have to wear masks in the school facilities. So while they're practicing, they are.
So Chris, I don't, from my understanding, most of the districts are asking people to, in most cases, to wear them kind of in the hallways when they're entering. But once they're kind of established in their spaces in the gym, I don't believe that they're required. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the facilities that we'll be using this season, and again, this could change day to day, but as of today, it's recommended. It's recommended to have the players, coaches, and parents in the hallway waiting to get onto that gym to wear a mask. Once the players enter the gym, they are able to remove their mask if they'd like to during play. It is recommended that the fans, parents, spectators watching, it is recommended that they wear a mask. It is not required, just recommended. So that's the current guidelines that we're using at this point.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions on that? All right. So this last one, just some important comments about some of the rules and things like that. For the most part, a lot of the rules didn't change, but we did make some minor changes. So one thing I want to remind everyone, playing time needs to be equally distributed. We do have some guides in the rules around playing time of like different, amount of playing time based on the number of players and things like that. So, but it's the job of the team to kind of get equal playing time happening. If you're not doing it and the other coach notices, they can point it out to the referees. And ideally, we don't want to have those kind of disputes. It's not a very fun conversation to have. So do your best to really keep that evened out, remembering that it's a rec program. We're trying to help these kids develop and learn, and all that kind of stuff. So looking at the second grade program, this is where probably the biggest changes were made. We really wanted to take things down a notch with the second graders this year. It got very competitive last year, and we just felt like at second grade the kids are really just starting to get the nuances of the game. So we want to try to enable that to happen as good as possible. So we're not keeping records this year. We're not going to do a tournament for second grade. We're going to give all the kids, a participation medal for getting out there. They're nice medals. The kids loved them last year, but everyone's going to get, everyone worked hard. They're picking up the game. It's their first time playing. So we wanted to get them medals, make sure they understand they're having, a good time out there. We wanted to really keep the energy down a little bit with the parents and stuff like that. So that's part of the reason there. We're playing 4-on-4. There's no stealing or free throws at second grade level. Just to help the kids really get the basics down of dribbling and passing and shooting and all that kind of stuff that is tough to pick up when you're 8 years old or 7 years old. The first two games, we're going to allow coaches to be on the court to kind of help, the kids figure out what they're doing. You don't have to. So depending on kind of where your team is at, you can get out there and help them figure things out. Or if they've got it all figured out, you don't need to do that. The referees will still be there to kind of to run the game and everything, but we want to make sure these kids have every opportunity to really pick up the game and learn all the different nuances of it. We also want to, strongly encourage you to get all the kids involved with bringing the ball down court to develop that skill of being the point guard. We don't know who's going to turn into that, but we don't want to have one kid run the show in second grade already, because these kids, we don't know who's great and who's not great at this point. They could develop, and we need to give them those chances. So that's second grade. Third grade is kind of similar, except we'll be tracking the records. So still have a tournament. The games are now 5-on-5. But through the first 6 games, we're going to have no stealing. And then after the first 6 games, we'll start having stealing, including in the tournament. So that'll allow, there's a large number of kids that, just start playing in third grade. So we want to give those kids a chance to learn, the basics of the game as well. And then the second half of the season, we'll kind of ramp it up and they'll be able to steal, and it'll be a little closer to traditional basketball at that point. Third grade is 5-on-5. We don't have lane violations in second and third grade. So we just want them focused on the other things. And of course, no free throws as well. For 4th through 8th grade, there's not any major changes. I would say make sure you look at the rules closely. There could be some little minor modifications, but there wasn't anything glaringly different that I wanted to point out from that. Were there any other questions about rules?
It looks like Jake has his hand raised.
Yeah, just for the second grade, because I know like when we were doing in-house rec stuff before, we said no stealing. Does that mean like on passes too, or is that just like out of the hand stealing?
So they could, if there's a pass, they can jump the pass. But we don't want we don't like tying the ball up and ripping it out of kids' hands and stuff like that.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. And because when we did that before, there was kids like jumping out of the way when the ball was coming, so it was almost doing more harm than good. But that's good to know.
It can be a little counterintuitive sometimes, but it's a tricky thing to manage, and ultimately it'll be the ref's discretion on it. And hopefully, throughout the season, hopefully the refs, especially with the younger grades, will be more lenient early in the games of things, and kind of ramp it up as the season goes on a little bit more and call things a little bit more strictly, so they can start to understand the taking 2 steps when you're shooting and all those kind of things. So but anyway, it's a tricky one, and the challenge is you're going to see refs call it a little bit differently probably. So having those conversations maybe before the games with the refs might be helpful, just to make sure they understand and both the coaches are on the same page about what the rule is. But the intent of it is, we don't want kids ripping the ball out of the other kid's hands when they're dribbling, so that they can learn how to dribble the ball and not have to worry about some kid jumping and ripping it out right away.
Right. And then for the players bringing the ball down the court, is that just kind of if we have a kid bring it down for the whole rotation and then just rotate throughout the game? Is that just kind of get a feel of it rather than trying to switch it every?
Yeah, it's not something that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I would say, it's not something like, don't be tracking it for the other team, but the intent of the rule is just, giving all these kids a chance to learn a new skill and to see if they can do it or not. If a kid doesn't want to do it, it seems silly to force them, right? So,
right.
but it's like, these kids, most of the kids really want to do that, and they just want their chance, and they might realize it's not their thing, and that's fine.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely something where we want to just give everyone their chance to learn all the different skills and positions at 2nd grade.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. And then Jody has a question as well.
Yep. So for 2nd grade as well, but no records tracked. So does that mean 2 questions, I guess? Is there going to be score kept at all?
Yes. Yeah. So we're still going to keep score during the games.
Okay. We just don't need to record it within the 24
correct.
hours, right? Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Because the kids are keeping track anyway. So
well, that's what I was going to say.
They're
going to want to keep track. So I would think
exactly.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Thank you, Trevor.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to Clarence Fields now, who's going to discuss Rising Stars and some information he's put together for coaches.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody is warm because it's chilly out there. Thanks for taking the time to spend your evening with us. I'm not going to take up very much time at all. Ashley, I do want to ask, does everybody have access to the Coach's Corner?
Yes, thank you. I forgot to show that part of the website.
Yep.
So right when you're on our front page here, Coach's Corner is right here before these grades. So all you gotta do is click there, and it's gonna bring you to our Coach's Corner information.
Yeah. So you can just leave it right there, and I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go too far into detail. If folks have additional questions about coaching or practice planning, you can feel free to reach out. But as you take a look at this page here, the Coach's Corner, we've just put together some resources that we actually are currently using in our high school winter league. We have just over 100 kids who either did not make their high school basketball team or did not go out for their basketball team. They have been participating in our winter league since November the 28th. And I wanted to mention this particular league and kids because they are very similar to the kids that you are probably working with who are involved in other things outside of spending their whole life focused on, basketball or sports. So the one thing that I will say, when you click on the Rising Stars Youth Basketball Coaches Manual. You'll kind of have a layout, as Ashley's kind of pulling up here, of the YouTube channel. I ask that you all please subscribe to that channel because we put together a beginner's playlist, a beginner's individual basketball playlist for you to review. There's also some practice plans in this particular manual, which kind of gives you some instructions on keys to having a great practice. And actually, I'm glad you stopped right here on the functional fitness portion of things. We make sure that we take the time in each and every single one of our practices to have our athletes do 5 to 10 minutes of functional fitness exercises. A lot of the lack of coordination, focus, maybe, I heard you guys talking about some, disciplinary issues, just kind of overall listening. We have kids do these exercises at the beginning of each and every single practice training session because it gives them something that's concrete that they know that they're going to have to do every single time that they come, which kind of gets them focused. It also helps connect their dots. A lot of times, when you're coaching beginners, especially in basketball, they're required to probably move in the game of basketball about every 2.8 seconds. And so it's very important, that your brain and your body are well connected, which cuts down on a lot of the thinking. And as you all know, basketball is not a thinking sport. It's definitely a reaction sport. So there's just a plethora of information in this guide. You can refer to that video playlist. I think the first video of the playlist, which I strongly suggest that you all incorporate in your practice, it's going to literally just kind of teach kids basketball terminology. Where's the elbow? Where's the free throw line? Where's the baseline? Where's the half court line? So make sure that as you start to teach and practices, start with the bare basics of getting them to understand, what different words mean. And so it'll start to kind of resonate with them. So what immediate questions does anybody have just about the process of coaching in general? Again, there's just tons of information for you to dive into here. But Jody, you have a question?
Oh,
sorry, I never took it off from before. I'll take it off.
You're just waving. Hi.
Oh yeah, hi.
Any other questions? I'm more than happy also to set more time aside for you all specifically to answer any questions that you may have with regards to any of this information on the screen. So Ashley, if we want to kind of get together after this and just kind of put something out to where whoever wants to join to get additional information or dive deeper into this or ask questions, totally available for that.
Perfect.
As you all can see also, as she clicks on that Rising Stars Challenge tracker there, really, really cool tool to get to all of your players. The functional fitness exercises that we have the kids go through are in this spreadsheet. Every single time the kids come to our practices or training sessions, they bring these sheets, their sheets with them. So they're actually recording the number of body weight squats, forward lunges, reverse lunges, and so on and so forth down the list of how many they're actually doing. So it kind of creates a little bit of competition, between the kids. If Jody and I are doing body weight squats next to one another, and when the time is up, she's done 75 and I've done 40. So it just really creates some competitive nature, and also you're secretly getting the kids in shape, and then also providing them some structure as well. So don't be boring, ask questions, please. That's why I'm here. You guys are giving the same responses the kids give whenever I ask if you have questions. I just want to let you guys know. Any questions? Somebody ask a question. Make me feel useful.
How you doing, Clarence?
I'm
How you
great,
doing,
man.
Clarence?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you. Kyle is staring just deep into the screen, wondering if he has a question or not. I will say, you know, I think one of the things that, you know, you all should really focus on, which is going to be difficult, you know, when you get, you know, 10 kids in the gym, because you're going to want to focus on more team stuff. But, you know, I would really put the kids in situations, you know, after you do, you know, individual skill development and all that good stuff, but phase things out for them and put them in more one-on-one situations, competing against one another. And then, you know, maybe week 2, you know, the focus is more 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, right? And the next week is, you know, a little bit more focus on the next thing. But I would say, you know, if you guys have an 8 to 10 week season, you know, I would really just kind of cash all of my chips in on putting them in pairs, you know, and teaching them how to, you know, function on offense and on defense individually. I think oftentimes, you know, where things kind of go wrong from a development standpoint, especially early on, you know, in your K through 2 age groups, is that the kids are asked to play, you know, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 too quickly, and they don't get a chance to develop the individual skills that they need to be able to contribute, you know, confidently to a team. Because one of the things you have to realize here is that in this day and age, the majority of the kids on your team, and this is for some of the travel kids too, they're not really picking up a ball outside of their practice. So they're not going to go, you know, and play one-on-one or the majority of them and really just work on their game individually. So, you know, you have to kind of take that into account, you know, and really, you know, peel back, you know, the layers of development and just really focus on developing kids in one-on-one situations. They got to know how to dribble. They got to know how to, you know, play defense in order to contribute, you know, to a team. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So any questions before I sign off? I'm sad, y'all. Truly sad. Email is on the screen. Once again, I'll set up, you know, some time specific to coach development for you all. Feel free to join. The session will be recorded, and we can answer more of your questions a bit more in depthly there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Clarence.
Yep, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Clarence.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you all so much for joining today. Again, if you have any questions or if you didn't receive something, oh, it looks like Lee, you have a question?
Yeah, I got a question. Chris or Trevor, can you answer? Are we going in a different door at Anoka Middle School than what we used to, or is there what is our to get into the gyms there?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know it's changed from years past because I think they had construction going on there. So I don't know if there's anyone from Anoka that knows if that's over, if that parking lot's open, if are they allowing people in those main doors, or do we go in the side doors? If not,
I can find this out, Trevor. You're right. It seems to be it has changed due to the construction. It has been the side door for the girls' league this past season. But I can see if that's still the case, and we can definitely get that communication out.
Is that side door, Chris, off of the side street there, like door 33 or something like that?
Yes, yes.
The reason I'm asking is I have my first games there on Saturday, so I kind of like to get it out to my parents and stuff so they know how to get in there.
You bet. Which organization are you with? What city?
Spring Lake Park.
Okay. Yes. I will catch up with Trevor and then we can get you that information here.
Okay, and then Ashley, I have one question for you. For reporting scores, are we supposed to be able to do that through our Sports Engine app, or do we have to have that MYAS link?
So you'll do it through your Sports Engine app. You want to make sure that you're reporting under the Northern Twin Cities team and not just your Spring Park team. So you should have 2 teams showing up.
Okay, because on mine, on the Sports Engine right now, I only have 1 showing up.
Just the one? Okay.
So I don't know if there's something that we need to correct or something I need to correct. Maybe I could get some help with that.
Yep, for sure. Let me look into that tomorrow. And did you accept the invitation
So-
to join?
A quick recommendation, Ashley, would be to log out and log back into the app. That usually refreshes and forces the reboot. I definitely got everybody assigned to their teams before the meeting tonight, a couple hours ago, in fact. So if you log out and log back in, as long as your email was assigned to that team, you should be able to see your team already. If not, like Ashley said, reach out to her and we'll figure out what's going on.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. So if any more questions come up, feel free to contact me or reach out to your association directors. And we'll make sure that we get those answered. But if there's nothing else, just best of luck this season and have fun.
Thank you
all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.